No, we're here. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the first official episode of the Shooting the Schmidt podcast. I have my hair dyed blue like a radical feminist, and here today I have with me Oscar.
Hello.
Hello. So, Oscar, what's your life like lately?
It's full of rock climbing and work. Although, I used to do 2 jobs, but now I'm just working at the rock climbing gym, so I have a lot of free time, which means I have my other climbing, playing video games, or working, so that's my life recently.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of nothing lately. I've been doing a lot of nothing lately myself, because I kind of don't have my collarbone in the right place.
Yeah.
That's also why I'm wearing a button-up shirt. We didn't just get formal on the podcast. Yeah, that's just because I can't really put my right arm as high as I would like to get the regular kinds of shirts on. But yeah. So, yeah, we're both dealing with little injuries here and there.
Yeah.
Right? You got something going on with your hands, yeah?
So a lot of climbing has to do not just with your regular muscles, it has to do with your tendons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't train enough, if you don't train your tendons enough, or you try something that's out of your league, you could end up even tearing a tendon. I didn't tear a tendon. I just strained it a little because I was trying a relatively hard move in which I was only using my middle finger and my ring finger to hold on and pull my full body weight up to the wall. So I strained it a little, but I should be fine after a rest day.
Yeah, and I should probably be fine relatively soon. Within 2 weeks, my collarbone should slide slowly back into place where it belongs, and then hopefully I'll be able to reach over my head and then punch people in the face with my right hand again.
I'm also dealing with skin problems, which in climbing is very important. You have pretty healthy skin for the best results. But I don't go enough days without climbing to give my skin the proper time to heal, which is why I recently bought something to accelerate my skin healing.
Steroids?
No. Although apparently some professional climbers have been duping in preparation for the Olympics.
Makes sense.
Which is more strength isn't too important. It's more about how you handle your own weight when it comes to climbing. So you don't really want to build muscle when you're climbing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have lean muscle.
Mm-hmm. So you have less to suspend by one hand.
Yeah. So you want to have a really high strength to weight ratio, not just strength.
Good pound for pound strength.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why you would dupe for climbing per se, but I mean.
And you're saying about tendon strength too. If you actually take steroids, I've heard your muscles can grow faster than your tendons.
Well, I mean, everyone does that, so I would imagine that steroids just accentuates that even more.
So on that subject, if you were doping or duping, and doing rock climbing exercises, you could theoretically increase your injury risk, right?
Yeah, because if you have a lot more muscle, that means a lot more weight, which means a lot more stress on your tendons, which can mean hurting yourself. And tendons tend to get stronger. It takes maybe a month for your tendon to get stronger versus your muscles within days are already stronger than they were before. So yeah, and I mean so keep your tendons safe, kids.
Yeah.
And it's relatively easy to make sure you don't hurt yourself. Just gotta know where you are in terms of climbing and where your tendon strength is, and really feel it out. And if you feel you're pulling too hard on your hand or something, probably shouldn't try anything else or.
Right. Yeah, let go and then go a little lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a thing that can go for like. It's kind of a general concept that can translate to like a lot of athletics. Like a lot of people who are like trying to do like hard stuff usually end up like overreaching in some way.
Yeah.
And then they either like are like burnt out on their cardio for like 3-4 days or something like that, and like messes up their training routine. Or like if they lift too heavy, they can like break something or like slip a joint or something.
Yeah. And I know like one thing that's common in runners is if you run too much, you can get like a splint on your your shin. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that? Is that like when like tendons like don't connect to the bone of the shin or something weird like that?
Yeah, I think I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's just putting too much strain on your tendons, and that's connected to your shin stuff. And yeah. Usually it's nothing horrible. If you get one, you just have to rest for a while.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, I know climbing also like the most common injury is pulling a tendon. I don't think I've pulled a tendon yet, but I've probably got it close.
Yeah, I think probably maybe most common like sports injury in like the field I'm in, it's probably overuse of some kind.
Yeah.
It's probably overuse because like MMA, as much as it's like people make it out to be like an anaerobic sport where you're like trying to get the knockout in the first round, cardio is like really a big part of that. So a lot of times people try and train too frequently, like myself included. I've been guilty of that myself. I've at one point I was pushing like 7 days a week for like three weeks in a row, and then like for like half a week, then the week after I was completely dead and useless.
Yeah.
I was like fatigued all the time to the point in which I wasn't actually even like learning things properly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actually making gains on my cardio. It was actually declining at that point. I was actually getting tired faster because I was just so worn down.
Yeah. I know like with climbing, it's the most common reason people like don't climb every day per se or something, unless they're like pros. Because like pros are ridiculous in how much they can like climb without getting tired or anything. Well, they get tired, but like recover relatively quickly.
Right.
Their skin, like, because like pros are really good at maintaining like their skin health, or even like, and especially like, so they also know how to train climbing without absolutely destroying themselves each day. So like they can spend maybe like 4 hours at a rock climbing gym and like do it every day.
Right.
And like some pro climbers even go like twice a day. Like they'll have like a morning workout and then do whatever for a while. It will be like breakfast, chill, and then have like another workout in the evening.
Right. Because that's like they're really like experienced at like modulating like their intensity of their training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll usually be like operating at like 40 to like 70%, and it's like why they can go so often, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then they understand like their bodies, and they have like personal trainers and stuff and all that stuff, and they know how to like take rest without like for me personally, like I am horrible at taking rest. Like I get down from a climb and I go back on almost immediately, and I burn myself out really quickly. I'm getting better as I get better at climbing, at resting, but I'm still relatively like, I feel okay enough to try again, so I keep going, even though I probably like should rest way more. Yeah, like some climbers like will sit there for like 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, just doing nothing, just shaking their arms or relaxing until they feel like they can climb again. And like I'll spend like maybe 2 minutes before I'm like, I want to get back on the wall. And especially with like bouldering, because bouldering is pretty much like only like hard moves, like really powerful like jumps, really powerful lock-offs and stuff, and that's like it builds up and it's strenuous on your body. So like it's especially important to like rest between climbs, and it's not like because I've done top roping and stuff, so it's not like your muscles are like tired, pumped and stuff.
Right.
It's like a different kind of tired, I would say.
It's like, is it maybe more akin to like a stretching type of like fatigue?
Like, what do you mean?
So like if you stretch something like if you stretch like maybe like stretch like hyperextend something almost.
Maybe not.
Because like I can imagine rock climbing is relatively to other like athletics. I would think it would be like it would be less impact on your joints because you're doing a lot of hanging rather than like that like your body weights hanging from things rather than you're pushing it around and then getting a lot of impact on the joints.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure too much about that. It just, I don't know. It's also to do more with, I think the big difference is like more of your muscles are tired, I would say.
Okay.
With bouldering than with top roping. 'Cause usually like when I get down from like a top roping problem, my forearms are completely dead.
Okay.
Versus when I get down from bouldering, like I'm dead. Like my whole body is fatigued and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one's maybe like it's more strength intensive, and then the other more is like more cardiovascular.
Yeah.
intensive.
So yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, it's almost like that's interesting. Like how there's like you can be like used to like there's like two different sectors of like two things you can be good at.
Yeah.
Or not good at, like relative to like what you do. Like you're saying with like the tightrope, you say not tightroping. What was the term?
Top roping.
Top roping. Okay. Like top roping versus like boulder climbs, and there's like striking versus grappling in MMA, and it's like you can have like really generally good like cardio, and like you can move around a lot and stuff and like throw a lot of strikes, for example.
Yeah.
But it's like some people, if like they're not used to it and like they get grappled, like somebody tries to wrestle with them, they'll like gas out really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's like their one energy system's like super developed and the other's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like what I faced when I went in from when I tried top roping and stuff. And even now, like I notice it, like at bouldering, I'm like V5, V6 at this point, and I've only been climbing for around 7 months at this point. And when I go top roping and I try something that's like out of my league per se, I would say, I find that I'm hardly ever struggling with the moves in it. I'm struggling with like the endurance of it.
Right.
Like I haven't encountered a top rope climb in which there was a move that I just couldn't do. It was just like just didn't have the endurance for it. Like I got tired really fast, or got tired too fast. And there's also like the skill of resting while climbing, where you have to like pretty much dead hang and then like try to get some strength back to your arms and like taking turns and stuff. And like that's like a really big skill that like if someone professionals are really good at it. And that's one of the things that like they specifically train is being able to like get rid of all, because pump is a thing.
Right.
And they like are really good at getting rid of pump and resting and stuff while climbing.
Yeah.
And I'm like not good at that at all.
Right.
So I get pumped out and like I try and stuff, but like it's hard. And yeah, so
yeah. Because that's like what do they call that? Like that's like your lactic versus like your alactic system or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of similar things like in MMA, like I was saying, like if somebody who's like really good at like kickboxing gets grappled, sometimes like their like ability to like they get lactic really fast.
Yeah.
Because like their main thing is like it's like a less there's like less resistance. Like if you're like striking something, there's no resistance really, unless like you add like bands to like your striking somehow, like you do in your training.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of strikers get really lactic, like really quickly. Like if you grapple them, then they're burnt out because their muscles are full of blood because they're not used to working against resistance, like when they meet a wrestler or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like the opposite is true for like a wrestler. They're like really good at like either having built like a tolerance to like getting like lactic, or like they're really good at like managing their energy and like resting once they get top position or whatever.
Yeah.
But they suck at moving around sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like that's not their main forte. If they're like forced to strike usually.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now but yeah, you see less of that like contrast these days because most people are like focused on being good at everything.
Yeah.
And then, or just being really, really good at one thing and then making sure they're competent in the other.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That's still a thing that does happen, though.
Yeah.
Less so, but it does happen.
Yeah. And then, that's actually happening with the Olympics, in which, a lot of pro climbers, because usually with climbing, there's really like 3 different, like types, like main types of climbing per se. There's like a lot of types of climbing, but like the main ones that have like competitions and the ones that will be presented in the Olympics is lead climbing, which is where you take the rope up with you and you clip yourself in as you climb.
Oh, okay.
Which is really, it's a lot about endurance and being able to rest well enough to do it. And then there's bouldering, which is what I do mainly, and that's like really powerful moves. So it's not too much about endurance, it's a lot more about how powerful you can be. And then there's speed climbing, which is a little, actually I would say it's a mix of both, because you need the endurance to get to the top of the wall, because it's like I believe 40 feet tall. But you also need the power to commit to some of the moves, because there's a lot of movements in which you're pretty much jumping from one hole to another all in very quick succession, and like, yeah, I mean, people can get up 40 feet in like 5 seconds. And but usually people tend to focus on one and go get really good at one. So like some people are really good at bouldering, some people are really good at top rope climbing or lead climbing, some people are really good at speed climbing. They're really like 3 different things, and you train differently for each of them. But for the Olympics, they decided that they would pretty much make one event in which you have to do all 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it was super controversial actually, because the way it's been for the longest is each section has its own like competition, and each person is good at one thing, and now you're forcing all these people to be like
multifaceted.
Yeah. And that's not to say that they can't be, but they have to like completely change their training regimen and stuff, because their main focus before this was top rope or lead climbing, and now they have to include bouldering and speed climbing. And like speed climbing is probably like one of the hardest ones to get into, because like with lead climbing there is powerful moves sometimes in there. So switching to bouldering or connecting it with bouldering isn't too much of a huge difference. But like speed climbing, it's just a whole different world, because you have to like really figure out all the sequences and how you can get up there the fastest that you can, and it's really hard to get that connected to the other 2 disciplines.
Right.
So yeah, and so but like a lot of people have been starting to like incorporate bouldering and top rope climbing. And then there's the approach that some people might take, in which so the way that they're rating the competition is that you can either get one, they give you, so you either go from 1, so there's gonna be 20 people I think, two genders, so a male and a female from each country, and they're gonna compete in all three, the same events. And so if you get like 20th place in like speed climbing, and then 20th, or like, let me make a better, 10th in speed climbing, 10th in bouldering, and 10th in lead. So you've got 10 across the board. That's 1,000 points. So 10 times 10 times 10.
Nice.
That's 1,000 points.
Okay.
Versus if you got first in one, and then 20th and 20th on the other two, you get, that's 400 points.
Okay.
So like, do you have like the whole like thing where like maybe you shouldn't worry too much about the other two, just focus on which one you're already good at.
Okay. So like the way the points work, so like when you rank higher, like how much does how much is multiplied like go up? Because like I think the way I don't know if you like if you get, because it almost sounded like the way you said it, it's like if you get it almost encourages you to score lower, which I'm sure isn't right. But.
It's not right to, and it's more of a comparison to like try to make it seem like, because the way it works is that if you get first, that's one.
Right.
If you get first, if you get like second on the other one, on the other discipline, that's 1 times 2.
Okay.
And then if you get third, that's on the other one, it's 1 times 2 times 3.
Oh, so your placing is like based on multiples.
Yeah.
Okay, so
if
you slide down a lot if you do really bad in like 2, for example.
So if you get first, and like obviously the best is you get first in all of them, but that's most likely not going to happen because there's some people coming in who are focused more on this thing than you are, and who are better at this than you are.
So a perfect score would be a 3.
A perfect score would be a 1.
1.
Yeah, so that's the perfect score.
Okay.
But I'm saying that like if you focus too much and you average out on all of them, and you get like 10th place on like.
Right, and you get 3 numbers multiplying.
Yes.
Like 3 decent sized.
So you have like 10 times 10 times 10, like I said, and you get 1,000 points. Versus if you did first place on one of the events, and then the other 2 events you got dead last, it would be 1 times 20 times 20, which would be 400 points, which means you beat the person who did 10th place on all 3.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So like it brings in like a tactic of like, well, should you focus on all 3 and try to do well in all 3, or should you just stick what you're good at and maybe get a little bit better at the other events, but like still keep your focus on the one event you're good at.
Okay.
Because then it still might guarantee you a better spot, a better place than like trying to aim for like 10th on each of them or like 5th on each of them.
Right. Well, that makes sense. That's kind of neat. It's kind of interesting how sports evolve like that. It's like, yeah, like I said, these days people are mostly focused on being like great at everything, like MMA, but like there's a similar dynamic there.
Yeah.
You got the 3 divisions of climbing. There's like really like 3 ways you can separate like MMA into like broad categories. There's striking, which is just beating people up while you stand up, kickboxing with them. Wrestling, which is like a transition to the ground, taking people down, picking people up, slamming them down, stuff like that. And then there's grappling, there's grappling, which is like jiu-jitsu and like stuff once you're already there. That's better for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to like wrap your legs around somebody's neck who's trying to smash your face in.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just related.
Yeah.
So, but playing it but yeah, just it's good. It's good to be good at a lot. It's good to be good at it. It's yes, it is good to be good. But it's good to be good at a lot of things. But like the main thing is play to your strengths.
Yeah.
And that's like the underlying like the point like between the 2 things. So yeah, if your best bet is to be well-rounded, then be well-rounded. Like spread your time equally among the 3 things. If you're like pretty decent at all 3, or if you're like really good at 1 or 2, focus on really what you're really good at on those one or two things, and then like that'll like take you further if you can be so much further ahead in the one thing than like the others, and so on. So kind of interesting. Yeah, related thing.
And then, I mean, It also depends on the climber who like what they care more about. Do they care more about winning gold at the Olympics or winning gold at like the climbing World Cup? So
Right.
yeah. And then you have people, someone like Adam who's like considered like the best climber of this generation right now, and he's an amazing lead climber, which is like his strength. But even bouldering wise, he's really good. Like he almost got first place in the overall ranking for the World Cup for bouldering and the World Cup for lead. And like the only thing is that like last second, the bouldering didn't work out where he got like I think third or second place.
Oh, okay.
Because he like lost last second at the last World Cup.
Okay.
But yeah, he's really good. And then he actually failed to apply for the Olympics because of it, I believe. And then there was his second chance to apply for it. He also failed because what happened was so when you're lead climbing, there's clips along the wall along the route as you're clipping into it, but you can't touch it aside from like clipping into it.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can't like grab onto it.
You can't grab onto it. You can't put your foot on it or anything.
Okay.
And what happened with him is that he topped out the whole climb, which I think he was the only one who did that. And then at some point they reviewed like the footage and he accidentally put his foot on the clip.
Oh, okay.
And they disqualified him.
Damn.
So he failed.
Yeah. Because those things are just supposed to simulate you sticking something into a rock.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
So like, yeah. So those are there just to like, if you fall, they catch you.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're attached to a rope and someone's on the ground holding you down. So it's like if you attach, they're just there for you to attach yourself. You can't use it to like climb onto the roof because that's cheating. So.
Right. Because it's like free handles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like super easy to step on / hold on to compared to like what you're actually climbing on. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, it's ridiculous.
So like, how does like qualifying for like the Olympics work in like climbing? You were saying like, is it like you have to like, do you have to do be the best in like a similar like format of things where like you have to do best of three like of the three categories?
So
or is it
really, I think it depends on your country's way of doing it.
Okay, because it's your country that pushes you forward into that.
Yeah, because you're obviously representing like, and some countries already have like people locked in on who they're gonna have represent them at the Olympics. But it really depends on the country and stuff. I don't actually know exactly why he didn't qualify, because he did relatively well. He definitely did better than all his other teammates that were in the Czech team. Because he's from the Czech Republic, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But he did better than pretty much all his teammates. I don't know why he didn't qualify, but I would assume it's dependent on like countries, because if you're representing a country, you're not representing like the climbing, the community or whatever. So.
Right. Okay. So basically, it's basically like any other like how country treats any other like other category of like Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like who the country notices as best for this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like different places will do it differently. Like I know in China sometimes they have like a thing where they have sports universities.
Yeah.
Because they like identify people who are like super like naturally like super athletes, and they like try and test them out in like different sports and see which they do best at.
Yeah.
And then like I'm not sure what America's procedure is, but I think it's probably you just win like regionals and like get better there. Like you win regionals and you win state on something. And then,
Yeah, and then you choose from Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's how America does it. I don't know how America's gonna do it in climbing the Olympics though.
Yeah. Are there a lot of countries that are like clearly ahead?
I would say Japan for sure, especially with bouldering. Japan's like a really like bouldering country, I guess I would say.
Okay.
And they have like consistently produce some of the best climbers in the world. And then any European countries also have a good chance, especially if Adam Andra's on the team, because he has a good chance of being able to get first in lead climbing and first in bouldering, which would put him, like, even if he got dead last in speed climbing, which would put he would be like a 20 pointer then.
Okay.
So yeah, so it really, I don't know too much about like who's representing the U.S. too much. I just don't focus too much.
Okay. Yeah.
The U.S. is weird when it comes to climbing. Like it has a really like big climbing community, but it's very isolated.
Okay. Yeah. It's more niche here than it is other places.
Yeah. Like I feel like people see it like, oh, cool hobby, and not really much of a sport. And in other countries they really do see it like a sport, so it's a lot more common. But it's changing, especially with the help of free solo, with Alex Honnold. But even though it wasn't too good of a movie, it was alright, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, so it's the dynamic of climbing in the U.S. is changing, but like as of late, like up until lately, like it was just like a very niche thing. Where, like, if you grew up around it, you knew about it. But if you didn't like ever encounter it, or like if you're like barely encountering it recently, like it's mainly like you might see it as like a hobby rather than like a sport.
Right. Yeah, it's like how big Thai kickboxing is in like Thailand versus the U.S. and like how that they're probably going to do really well in the Olympics now that Thai boxing is a thing in the Olympics relative to like other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there like you said Japan's like probably one of the best, at least at like bouldering and like well generally at climbing. Is that like a cultural thing? Like as far as like how like climbing got on the scene and was like marketed, or was that like a thing like regionally, like a reason people would be like legit good at that to like begin with if they lived in Japan?
I'm not too sure about that, because climbing became popular in Europe. Like they were the first ones to like start doing it.
Okay.
At least like
competitively.
Yeah, and officially, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. It really is just like the Asian countries, though. Like I know Japan and South Korea also produces pretty good climbers. I don't know. I would just say like I would say it's like the culture thing where like I said, like in the U.S. it's like a very niche thing. Like unless you had a friend who climbed or your dad climbed or something, you wouldn't really interact with climbing ever in your life in the U.S. Versus in like Japan, it's a pretty big thing, and like South Korea, it's a pretty big thing too. So like, it's just it's probably just like how they see climbing as versus like the U.S.
Okay.
And not to say that the U.S. hasn't produced like good climbers, it just consistently at like competitions, it tends to be the Japanese or like Manja recently, who's pretty much crushing all the time.
Okay. Yeah. I was about to like give a little headcanon. Maybe it was like I was thinking for a second before like you said that like the thing about like how big it's just been made and like marketed in like Japan, that maybe it's like people with small frames and a lot of pound for pound strength. Maybe
that's true. That could also be a thing. It could just be like because like let's be honest, America's like a fatter country.
Yeah. Or at least our average height is more than most places too.
Yeah. So. But yeah, so that might be a thing. It's generally there's no like specific like type of body that you want for like you just want to be lean specifically, but like there's no set like like this is the perfect body type per se. Like there's not really that like some like with basketball you want really like a really tall dude with like really long wingspan, and that's like the best body type you get for maybe for relatively for like basketball. But like for climbing there's not really much of that. But I think most of the time it's a bit more beneficial to be on the smaller side versus like the taller side. Because I feel like a lot, especially with bouldering, you're put into a lot more like cramped spacing.
Right.
So, but yeah. So it might just be like the height thing and like just being the smaller people.
Right. Less body weight to suspend over a long period of time.
Yeah. And they've also popularized more. So there's like a weird. There's new age bouldering versus old age bouldering. And basically, old age bouldering is more tiny holds and crimpy stuff.
Wow. Okay. So like 2-3 finger holds.
Yeah, like smaller holds like that, or like a crimp in which only like this much of your fingers on it.
That's intense.
Yeah, and stuff like that where like it's just like you're not having. It's a lot of tendon strength and a lot of finger strength, but like relatively slow moves and like not so many like jumping and stuff.
Right.
Versus new age climbing, which has taken over competitions, especially in which there's a lot more like big moves and like dynos, in which like you have to like run across the wall and catch yourself or something like that. And dynos are basically just like in which you let go of the hold with both hands.
Okay.
And sort of do like a jump. It could be a run, it could be a jump. It doesn't really matter as long as both your hands like let go of what you're holding. At the same time, or relatively at the same time.
Right. And then you grab onto like you jump to another hold.
Yeah, and then the holds are bigger, so they're easier to catch yourself on.
Right.
Per se. Yeah.
And so you don't like rip a tendon too.
Yeah.
Like trying to go for something small, like with 2 fingers once you land.
Yeah. And that's new age, and that's very popular in Japan. And because competitions, and it's really mainly just because as climbing has become more and more, not mainstream, but has gotten more public attention, people don't really care to see someone climbing slowly into the ice.
It's less entertaining.
Yeah, it's not as entertaining. So a lot of people like seeing like someone jump or something, or like do some crazy move, and like because it's pretty popular in Japan already, then it would just mean like it just translates to competition. So.
How do I really do from there? I don't know. But like as far as like I don't know. Like as far as like I guess like I don't know how that point would tie in, but I was gonna say something about like anti-stalling rules in like combat sports. Versus like jiu-jitsu competitions. I don't know. I know jiu-jitsu competitions are getting more popular these days, and there's different kinds. So there's like submission only, and then there's like ones with time limits, and then there's always like there's a bunch of different rules like across the different types of like competitions. They have like innovations like similar to like new age climbing, like where they have rules to make it like more dynamic. Like usually that's like I'm pretty sure that's usually the ones with time limits. The time limit kind of acts as like an anti-stalling thing in and of itself, because like you can still win on points, like if you're like maintaining top position, like in the grappling, like for an extended period of time. But there are some other new like submission-based like tournament grappling things where it's like they have bans against like sitting on your butt and then welcoming somebody into your guard like this, and butt scooting. They have like rules against butt scooting because that's a thing people do in jiu-jitsu competitions, because they just sometimes they don't want to shoot in for takedowns and then like get their neck grabbed when they go to grab somebody else's leg to take them down. Yeah, I know like similar to like climbing, a lot of like jiu-jitsu competitions and other like athletic things like in that realm are being geared more toward like fan friendliness and like what's interesting to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's flow grappling, but I think it would be because in their ads they always have a lot of people flopping around with a lot of movement.
Yeah.
In their submission tournaments, but if I remember right, I think it was flow grappling. I'll correct it in post if I forget, if I get the name wrong. But yeah, they have rules against stuff like butt scooting, and like it encourages like you to be constantly moving. So it's like it's more pleasurable to a casual eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's my related mirror counterpoint sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, climbing, at least bouldering, they do have time limits.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's like you have 4 minutes to work on a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get it, you don't get it. And we have like what's called zones, which is pretty much making it to like a certain hold, and that's considered a zone. It's like it tends to be like maybe like halfway between like starting and finishing it.
Okay.
But like it can vary. Sometimes it's like one move before reaching the finish,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that encourages you like to just try.
Right.
It depends on like what your strat is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with 4 minutes, if you flash it, which is basically getting it first try without like getting everything first try.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really it's like a really like resting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's 4 minutes, you have 4 minutes to rest, but you can increase the amount of time you rest by finishing your climb earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really gotta like time yourself and decide what you want to do. Because if you don't flash it, that means like usually the average like boulder takes maybe like 30 seconds to finish, maybe to a minute, depending on like how long or like how long people hang on them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't flash it, that's like pretty much a minute gone. That and now you have 3 minutes, and you gotta decide: did you get close enough to finish it? Do you think you can finish it? And if you don't think you can, like you've reached the zone already, then you just have to decide to like quit right there with like maybe
because you don't want to burn yourself out.
Yeah, you don't want to keep trying like unless you really like are confident that you can get it, and maybe you just didn't flash it.
Mm-hmm.
And like some people have done that, or in which they're like, I'm probably not gonna get it, so I have 2 minutes to keep trying. I'm not going to. So they like walk away from it.
Cool.
And yeah, so there's that dynamic of like time and stuff.
Nice. Do you think I don't know, like to just sort of bring this into like a larger sort of like idea, do you think that like more sports are like being geared towards like, I mean sports are in the first place like a spectator thing,
Yeah.
but like do you think a lot of like athletics are being more geared toward like newer athletics are being geared toward more fan friendliness? Like this is me just guessing and asking. I would guess you would know as much as I do because I stay in my bubble a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you might too. I don't know, but maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah. Do you think so?
I mean,
Because it would kind of add up. It would kind of make sense. Like in order to like, if you want to like grow a sport, you want more people to see it, so they come more to go see it.
yeah. Not too sure honestly. Because like climbing, it's very obvious that they have been trying to gear it more and more towards like spectator friendly, you know, having like these really big moves and jumps and stuff. So people are like, whoa, cool, and stuff like that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it is cool, but like, you know, sometimes you know you want to do something else. But yeah, and I mean, like, I don't really watch too many other sports and stuff.
Yeah, same.
So, I mean, like, I think pretty much all sports have like this form of like trying to be entertaining for the people. And like one, like WWE is like one big one like that.
Right.
It's just like
Yeah.
purely.
That's pure, just like That's pure. It's
pure fan service.
Yeah, it's fan service. Yeah,
It's like
athletically organized fan service.
Yeah, like obviously, and a lot of people say it's fake, but actually, like, pretty sure they're actually hitting themselves, but like not like horribly.
Right.
Like they know how to like take care of their bodies.
Right.
Like when you see someone slam someone down, they like know like this is how you land.
Yeah. So your neck doesn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not fake, but I'm not gonna say that it's very much for your entertainment.
Right. You're not gonna say that it's not athletic just because it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's not like in real time, like actually like occurring per se.
Yeah. Like it's staged, but like the moves are happening. The things they're doing is happening.
Yeah.
Like you need to have some sort of skill to do what they do.
Right.
At least to not hurt yourself.
Yeah. Because anybody could theoretically get in there and then actually just hurt themselves for other people's entertainment.
Yeah.
But
these guys are like paid and trained to be able to at least not fake them hurting themselves, but like put on a show in which the things are happening. People are you see like when someone gets slammed by a chair, they're getting slammed by a chair. There's not like some breakaway chair, and really they only make wooden breakaway chairs anyway.
Right.
Like even if it was an aluminum chair, you're still getting hit by a chair.
Yeah. That still kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
you're enough of like a professional and you learn certain skills enough to where after 5 events you're literally not in the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
So
and like the people who are hitting you with the chair know that they should like they're not hitting you sideways with it.
Right.
They're hitting you with the flat part.
Right.
Like
so that you get that also plays into like, ooh, it looks cool because the chair's bending because that's you're hitting it on the weaker side too.
Yeah. And you're spreading the impact. So but yeah, like WTPG is like especially like a really big just like fan service, and like it's faked in the sense that like they know what they're doing and they know
these are these are pre-rehearsed events that are gonna sequences that are gonna happen.
Yeah, and like even like during a fight though, they might like whisper something to each other and like, oh, like I'll do this. So,
Right.
Yeah. And like
there's a clear line of communication between the two people in there.
Yeah. So like in the sense I guess it is fake, but like all those punches, all those hits, those are real.
Yeah.
They just know how to deal with it so that they don't end up in a hospital.
Right.
And then I mean like some sports have begun to like introduce more like drama and stuff. And like
or they'll reward you more for stuff like that.
Yeah.
For drama and controversy.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in fighting. People as much as the fighting is really real in MMA, sometimes people manufacture like beef between different people.
Yeah.
Like so people are like, oh, these guys really hate each other. They're gonna hit each other even harder now. They're gonna just brawl with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of, especially like in this era and like the previous era, like 5 years ago in like MMA, when like Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey burst onto the scene and stuff like that, and they started talking a whole bunch of shit and then getting eyes on what they do. So they would get people to like hate them and then like watch them fight, so they would like hope they get knocked out.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Yeah, that's a really real thing in MMA too, and like as far as like gearing it towards fans, like the sport itself is like changed from like 20 years ago, or is it 20 years ago? I don't know if it's that old. Maybe 25, 15 years. But yeah, the original, like the first event, like way back, it used to be like no time limits.
Yeah.
Somebody gets knocked out or they tap out, and that's it. There was like so many fewer rules and regulations. Part of why we have certain rules and regulations now is because of course like fighter safety and stuff like that, and like longevity, because you used to be able to punch people with the balls. And that's people have claimed some nasty victories like that before. And I think that person probably ended up infertile or something like that. But anyway, a lot of the rules these days with time limits and such like make it so that people like have to push the action, because it's at most 15-minute fight.
Yeah.
Whereas fights way back, if you were a guy like Royce Gracie, you wanted it to drag out for like an hour, because your goal was to like have super lot of endurance and like wait for the other guy to gas out and then beat him.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays the rules of the sport are geared more towards fan friendliness as well as fighter safety by making the matches shorter.
Yeah.
And having a time limit.
Yeah.
Rather than not at all.
Yeah. And I think a big influence of that is like just how our current generation and like the introduction of like technology and stuff, and like growing less shorter time like attention spans and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and like that with like the time limits and stuff, and then with like any drama that's put on for like a show and stuff, it's just like a lot of people are, especially like nowadays, and it's mainly just because with social media and stuff, they've been allowed to
get a lot of instant gratification from that.
Yeah, and like they can be a lot more nosy.
Right.
Yeah, and so like they like the drama because now they have it too. Like before, like if you wanted drama, you had to like go to like a hair salon or something.
Right. Yeah.
But like now you just have it instantly on your hands, and like people like it because I don't know, for some reason they like seeing people fight.
Yeah.
For, like I mean, like aside from like MMA fighting, like fight like verbally and stuff, and like hate each other. It's just like because they find that so entertaining, and especially just like that just has increased over the years as like media has increased and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. We can edit it in post, by the way.
That's true.
But yeah, why do you think like why do people like what like as like I don't know, I was gonna say what was I gonna say? Why do people like drama? Is it like the ultimate conclusion that they're like excited because people are actually maybe gonna like fist fight with each other, or is it like is it just the intensity of the engagement do you think that people enjoy?
I think it's intensity. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe people are just bored of their lives.
That's true. They don't have enough problems of their own, so they go see other people's problems.
Yeah. So like, you know, especially like nowadays, I feel like life tends to get repetitive.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, you know, like a lot of, especially younger people, a lot of them spend time like, it's like schoolwork, sleep, schoolwork. Yeah. Like it's a lot, and your life tends to get repetitive. So like a lot of people like search outside of their lives to find something that can entertain them or something that can and like where they don't have time to like I said, social media is just like they don't have time to like go do something themselves, like get a hobby or something. But like really quickly, like in less than a minute, you can pull up your phone, see someone else. Oh, these people broke up, like that, and like very quickly, like 1 minute. Done. You have some drama, you got some little bit of excitement, you're like, why did they break up or whatever, you like do more research and stuff, but like, that's pretty much it, and there's no like time commitment to it, versus like, and that's like a little bit of excitement for yourself.
Right. That's really interesting, I think what you said there, it's like, people just either like don't have enough time, or don't make enough time to like have like these real raw intense experiences themselves.
Yeah.
Like even so much as like having arguments with other people sometimes. Like if your life is like a certain way all the time and nothing really changes, like people will choose to live vicariously like through people on social media who are out having more intense experiences than they are making it out to have like more intense experiences than they have, so other people can come back and then live through them repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And then like experiencing something through somebody else is a very big thing. It's why Let's Plays for games are popular. Like people like you might think, oh, it's just people seeing other people play games or like maybe buy it themselves. And like in reality, some people just watch it because they like to watch it, and they like to see somebody else play it versus them playing it themselves. And it's weird because it is weird, and humans are interesting in this situation, which like we're very good at feeling with someone else.
Yeah, they're really well. You can almost say it's like some sort of like function of like empathy in like people.
Yeah, like they did a study, and like pretty much people got the same excitement from watching someone play the game as playing the game themselves, which is just like, all right.
Yeah, it's kind of trippy and kind of weird to think about. Yeah.
So like they get like the same excitement and everything like, as playing it and seeing someone else play it.
Right. Yeah.
So like it's just like that, like seeing someone else
Yeah.
do something. And it's also like why people like to look at rich people, because you know
they want to live through those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's a guy named Dan Bilzerian, and he's like a millionaire, and like he's always posting photos on Instagram of him like hanging out with some hot girls and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's just like
driving a Tesla or something.
driving like a really nice supercar, or being like on a yacht
Right.
with a bunch of girls and stuff.
Right.
It's just like, you know, like he's flexing. Let's be honest.
Right.
But like people find that entertaining. People like looking at that because it's something that they don't have, something that they won't have anytime soon.
Is Instagram like if you now that you say that, is Instagram just life porn? Like porn for somebody, like just for somebody else's life?
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's like it's not actual porn, but it's like porn for somebody who is like trying to absorb somebody else's life, almost the experience of somebody else's life.
I would say yeah. I mean, there's like a lot of that happening, especially especially with like if you follow like celebrities and stuff. You like something that it's like you keep up with their lives and stuff. You really like them, but like you're pretty much experiencing what they're experiencing through photos.
Right. Yeah.
And like humans have that ability to like pretty much feel the same exact thing for that. Like I said, like with the video games, like feel the same exact excitement, even though they're not playing it.
Right.
It's just they can get the same feelings without having to be there.
Right. I feel like this is like what we're talking about is like the plot to like a sci-fi movie that has either happened or been written or will be written, because it's like if you think about it, just like take that concept and like escalate it. Like, are there only going to be like in the future? Are there only going to be like? Is there going to be even like a, you know how we have like the wealthy 1% right now?
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be like a 0.25% in the future, and then like we're all going to be like just observing these like 0.25% people and trying to live through them, like in the future, like what with like how people live today, and like just kind of scale that up.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, well, again, the planet's supposed to die like soon, though. Anyway, so whatever, you know.
Unless we change.
We might not get there, so.
Unless we do something.
Right.
Which I mean, people are trying, I guess, a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how you can see the effects and still not believe it.
Right. Yeah. Or.
It's like Venice got like 85% of Venice got flooded.
Right.
It's
yeah.
happening.
Florida's disappearing.
Yeah.
California, bye.
Like it's happening, and people are still like, nah.
No. Yeah, until like the water's like in your own basement, nobody's gonna care.
Yeah, exactly. Which is ridiculous, but
yeah. I mean, like, is that a historically like a human dumb thing? Like nobody cares until it happens to me type of thing? Like,
I don't know. I think I feel like there's several reasons for people to be like that. I mean, one of them is like being actually like legit like scared of it to the point where you're like denying it.
Right, denial. But then some people do actually believe it.
Yeah. Which is people who like just accept the fact that it is happening, and those are going to be the people who like need to like
push against the positive change that's going to keep like us from all dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is I mean and there's people who are just stubborn. Who
Yeah.
said something and they were like,
Fine.
well, nah.
That's your
Like,
problem. I don't care enough.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
we're like Trump. It's just like he's been saying that climate change isn't real this whole time, right? But he's, I feel like Trump isn't scared of climate change. He's more like just stubborn, and he doesn't want to change his mindset about it.
Yeah. He's stubborn, or he's one of the people who just straight up doesn't believe it, and that's why he's one of the people that's leading this perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, the reason for whatever not believing it or not doing something about it just really depends on the people
Yeah.
themselves. But yeah, I think a big one is though like not wanting to accept that it is happening.
Right.
Because if it is happening, that means that there is a danger to your future and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
if you, but like that's also like the wrong thinking because yeah, okay, it's happening and you know it's happening, but you're too scared to accept that it's happening. Then you're just making it worse.
Right. Yeah.
But you're part of the problem now.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like these people who don't want to believe it, but like go towards these people who actually are convinced of it. Like conviction's a thing there because maybe they're trying to like live through like these other people's conviction and the idea, like just to tie it back to like what we were saying earlier, like living through people vicariously. Maybe that's the reason people gravitate towards like certain people. Like it's because they have conviction and confidence in some idea, whether or not it's true or not. Like whether the earth is slowly melting.
Yeah.
There are people out there who are convinced it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like, and some people, like as a result, people who are on the edge of like, I can kind of see some evidence here, or I do see evidence here, and I don't want to believe it. They just kind of go with these other people who try and like preserve this idea that they want to believe.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's natural for people to get attracted to similar thinking people, per se.
Right.
And like that's the reason why like Trump is such an issue when it comes to like that, because instead of like people having to or being forced to like change their way of thinking, they see this guy in power and he thinks just like them, so obviously they have to like be thinking the right way or something.
Right. Yeah. Like having successful people who aren't properly informed or don't believe certain things is kind of a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Because they have so much influence over people.
Right.
And yeah. Like humans are very reluctant to changing their way of thinking, and if you have someone who's in power or has like some influence over people, it just progresses that even more, where it's just like they just won't bother because they won't bother to like change their thinking because there's someone who has influence and is thinking like that.
Right. Because it lends enough credibility, like that position, like this person with this position lends enough, gives them enough comfort to keep doing this thing they know they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encouraged thinking.
Encourages thinking.
Encouraged into thinking like whatever they think.
Yeah.
It's like the same with like the anti-vax thing or like the vax.
Right.
Like there was a celebrity who was like, "Oh,
I'm not vaccinating my kids."
Yeah, and then a bunch of people were like, "Well, that celebrity fucking said that's a now I'm gonna think like that."
Yeah. Mom mentality. Is that basically what that is?
What?
Mob mentality, what that is. Like one person says something really loud, and then like these people follow.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, just on like a countrywide scale.
I wonder if like, I mean, it always has been. Influence has always been like a big thing for people like throughout time.
Yeah.
But like, is it like more of a thing these days? Like your influence, like your public, like how public you are with things or something like that? Because like we're talking about like Instagram and stuff like that and social media, and how things can be shared more and more than ever, like right now.
Yeah.
Like
no, for sure. Like a certain way of thinking back in the olden days was probably contained within like maybe a town at best, at like max. Like overall in the whole country wouldn't have been thinking like that, but like our town might have been thinking like that. Unless there's like a lot of travel between towns. Because like I mean, it's in like think of like the U.S. and with like races and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. There was like a lot of travel within each city of the U.S.
And that's why slavery became widespread.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those ideologies just spread across the country because of that. But now you have social media, and now instead of it maybe being contained to countries like back then, or even towns, now it's widespread to the whole world. Like everyone in the world can see your way of thinking now.
Right.
And if you're an influential person, that means even more of the world can see what kind of, like how you think. And if they agree with you, then they agree with you and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's definitely like become more of a modern thing to have like a huge like population thinking a certain way because of a single person.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting because like popularity in like this day and age, like from whatever metric you're gonna like say, like whether it's like media influence or whatever, like it's a really valuable thing, but like at the same time, like we were saying, the popularity of a person or a person's ideas, like isn't necessarily mean those ideas are either good or are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, popularity in this day and age can be like, it's basically like a tool.
Yeah.
Like, it's something you can do things with, but you can do good or bad things with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, I don't know, like, if I'm gonna like relate this to myself, like over time, if you know, like if I do well enough in like my sport, like what I hope to achieve is to be able to like influence and like inspire people like with that platform eventually.
Yeah.
Like the main thing I want to like spread with people, like on a personal note, other than like other important messages that are like actually like fundamental to like changing the world and like doing important things that'll benefit everybody. Like what I want to do, like if I gain that platform eventually, is like I want to inspire people to live. I want to inspire people to live in such a way where they're like they can be content with their life at the end of it.
Yeah.
So like basically, not live vicariously through other people through social media.
Yeah.
And like think I can't do X, Y, or Z, but I've never tried type of thing.
Yeah.
I want people to like try to go for things that will maximize their happiness. And I feel like if more people do that, then we can live in a world where there's maybe less crime, maybe there's just generally a net well-being increase like as a result of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, in this
pretty much like break out of their molds.
Yeah, like
and
not
choose to like live their life the way they want to live their life.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
not be like either like having other people live vicariously through them, like projecting their dreams onto them.
Yeah, like your parents or something.
Like, for example, yeah. I'm not saying my parents personally did that.
Personally, yeah, but like,
I'm not saying,
like,
but yeah.
people's parents, like, you know, like parents being like, you should become a doctor, so you study to become a doctor, but that's not really what you want to do.
Yeah. If I gain that platform, I want to like preach like self-honesty to people.
Yeah.
Like self-honesty, like within themselves and like as it relates to how they live their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's good.
Yeah, and
That's
I
like-
think a lot of people will end up happier, and then like will also have a generally better world with the net well-being increased. There will be less malicious things occurring in it as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've realized that more and more lately for myself, per se, like when, like rock climbing, like before I started rock climbing, I always had like interest, but I never committed. and I finally decided that that's what I wanted to do. So I chose rock. So I started rock climbing, and now I love it. But like even that's like still like becoming more and more my life, and like I'm sort of like becoming a mold of it because like I climb all the time now, and it's taking over my life. So like even now it's like it's gotten a bit repetitive. Not into like while climbing and stuff, but like just like I climb, work, climb, work.
Right, the schedule.
Yeah, the schedule has become repetitive, which is like the reason like I'm planning like a trip to Japan next year.
Nice.
So just trying to like make sure that like it's fine to fall into a mold for a while.
Right.
It's like
so long as you're doing something that's like meaningful over that period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're making progress
Yeah.
towards something steadily or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like nice to do something out of the ordinary.
Right. It's nice to get like those certain life experiences if it's afforded to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like a trip. It could just be like, you know, one day you like just take like a day and be like, usually I do this, but choose something else. Like especially like if you have like you want to do this but you just haven't tried it for whatever reason. Like take a day, just try it for once.
Right. It's like you want to like check things off your bucket list and make sure like just make sure you haven't like denied yourself at trying something. Yeah.
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 Magical life transition.
Man, today is seeing this trash.
Yeah.
Especially at our age, because like, well, specifically you and me, and the fact that we don't go to school right now.
Right.
So, are like, we're not old enough to go like to a lot of public things yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we don't have school to interact with other people our age.
Right.
It's like we're stuck interacting with people. Like first, like for me, I don't know about you too much because I don't know. The majority of people I'm interacting with are like way older, like 27 stuff or 28. Or like I have like one friend who's like in his 30s, and but yeah, and it's just not being in school. It's like interesting because it's just like
Right. You're not around a lot of peers.
yeah. And then even in school, because I chose to go to community school instead of like a regular college, there's a lot of people there who are older because they decided to come back to school.
Right.
Which is yeah. And it'll probably change once you're like 21. And then I know for you, you don't care too much about the dating and stuff. Dating is. And I know it's like not the end all be all thing. Anyways, like I shouldn't like live my life just trying to find a relationship. Right. It'd be nice.
Yeah. It's like it's a side quest.
Yeah, it's like a side quest. Yeah. And then this is the issue with like I find mainly Asian people attractive, and like I'm mainly interested in Asian people. But like especially I don't know how it is around the world, but in like the U.S. Asian people don't really look my direction.
No. Yeah.
They tend to look at like each other's direction or like white people's direction, or even like recently more and more like black people's direction.
Yeah.
And it's just yeah. And then like even then the people who I'm least interested in are Hispanic people, which I'm not saying that I don't find Hispanic people unattractive.
Right. It's just like there's it's just like relative intrigue like other types of people are like a +1, whereas no.
Yeah, it's like it's the difference between looking at someone and being like they're cute, and looking at someone and be like I'm intrigued.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like yay, like you're cute, and then there's like oh, I'm interested.
Right. Yeah.
And there's something wrong. And I'm not saying that I would never date like a Hispanic person. It's just like
right.
I would instantly look at a Hispanic person and be like, I want to date that person.
Right.
Or something. But they're like the most likely people to look at my direction.
Right, yeah, because it's like you have that sort of community bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also like the issue with like, I feel like, at least from what I've seen like on Facebook from like having friends from grade school that are women, and Hispanic women specifically, I don't fit the mold.
Right.
That they specifically like are looking for.
Right.
Like I'm not like this like super Mexican dude.
Right.
Like, I'm Mexican, don't get me wrong.
You're just not like hardcore. You are not an embodiment of the culture.
Yeah, like I'm not an embodiment of the culture. Like, yeah, I like tacos, but
Right.
like I don't eat spicy stuff.
Right.
I don't really like any like Hispanic music,
Yeah.
so like that's not my interest. But like
Right.
I just don't fit that mold.
Mm-hmm.
So and stuff, and then but like Hispanic people are the most likely ones to like want to
Right.
like, have an interest in me
Right.
instead of like what I'm actually looking for.
Yeah.
So it's just
Mm-hmm.
it sucks.
Yeah.
And then like, what's up with you?
What's up with me? Well, I don't know.
What are your experiences?
Like, my experiences? My experiences are limited. My experiences are limited. I can only say I really kind of dated somebody like once, and that was like, that didn't really go anywhere. So, like, yeah, that ended very neutral. Still friends with that person. Still a cool person to know. But, just like, yeah, I don't know how strongly, like, I experience, like, the emotional aspect of a relationship. Not to say that I'm a sociopath, because I have a lot of empathy for, like, even, like, friends, like you, and, like, other people.
Yeah.
And, like, I do care a lot about people, generally. But I don't know how much I could, like, specifically care about one singular person. Like, like more than others, that is to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, equally so, like, I've run into, like, I don't know, I want to say, yes, I do have the same issue of, like, meeting people. I'm more neutral on the matter.
Yeah.
So it's, like, kind of a problem, but kind of less of a problem.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. And, I mean, I have no game, so there's that.
Same.
So, yeah. Yeah, I'm just, at best, I think I'm kind of like weird and intriguing. At best. So,
At best, I
yeah.
think.
So, yeah. And now that's what my Tinder profile looks like. It's weird and intriguing, sort of. So, I have a picture of myself slipping on a banana peel.
Yeah.
For reference. An emoji banana peel. Just a picture of me slipping, actually. And then me putting a big banana peel there. As I edited it in post.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And then like I was gonna say something, I forgot. This happens all the time. Oh shit.
Oh, I should have gave you sticky notes. I should have gave myself sticky notes. I have them here. And like this is like the time when we would like need them, but I gave them to Sean last time, and Sean can talk for a long time by himself. So we never really needed them that much.
Yeah.
But we have sticky notes, so you can write down thoughts when you have them, and then we can come back to them if the other person's talking. So.
Yeah. And then I was gonna say something related to
There you go.
I'm still thinking. Give me a second.
That's cool.
I didn't post.
Magical second transition.
The weird and intriguing that you're weird and intriguing.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I don't really have anything per se that like. I'm not like. Just like a regular dude, I would say. And then like I don't know what kind of like. Personally, I don't really like in most of my photos. I don't know. I feel like I look a lot different in person than I do in photos.
Yeah.
And I feel like in photos I look a little creepier.
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean. I took I forget, took a picture of somebody, but they had like, it was just weird. Their mustache made them like looks different in person than it looks on camera.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, on camera it looks like you have a pedophile mustache, but in reality your mustache is just, it looks soft.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like that, like, it's the weird understanding of like what kind of vibe I give off and stuff.
Mhm.
And like there's also just like the, because I look older than I am.
Right.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people confuse me for being like 25 or 26 and or
Right.
even like, probably the youngest I've gotten was like 22.
Mhm.
And there's certain people who are like, oh, you're definitely like this age, and
Mhm.
you're like right spot on.
Right.
But like that tends to be guys.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
which is just like, it puts me in a weird spot where like I feel like girls my age look at me and they have no interest because they think I'm like,
You're actually way older than them.
yeah,
Right.
or I am a creep.
Right.
Which like I don't think I give off that vibe. I don't think I do that. But like I don't know, it's weird. And like trying like I mean, and like I understand previously when I would like pretty much just put something on and like have like really messy hair and gave zero
$0.
about like what I wore and
Yeah.
what I looked like. And I've like tried changing that, like especially with like with, like the shirt and stuff. Like I've tried to change my style to look a bit better, to like reflect what I'm actually like
Mhm.
and stuff. But like yeah, and it's just hard because
Yeah.
and then like especially like I said, well like the zero like social interactions aside from like climbing, like this is a weird like thing. Plus it's like I'm working at a climbing gym, like that's the main spot I'm at. So like it's also the main spot where like maybe I try to like make a connection with a girl.
Right.
But, like it's a gym, so like most people are going
Like
there.
they're busy at their own thing.
Yeah, like most people are going there. Like aside from like maybe like going with friends, most people there are like going there to specifically do their own thing.
Right.
So it's just weird trying to make a connection there. And then like I've gotten like told to like go to events and stuff, but like there's not really events that I'm interested in.
Right.
And like concerts are like expensive for like the bands that I want to go to, and then or they just don't have any like concerts because they're not very well known.
Right.
It's a very like huge difference. Where it's just like they're either very well known, they have like concerts but like they're expensive,
Mhm.
or they're so unknown that like they don't really have any concert because
Nobody's gonna come.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So and like there's just not like a lot of things that are happening in that, and then just not being 21 kind of because just
Yeah, you can't go to places that would be otherwise like avoid to like your current age.
yeah,
Like and like meet people there. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a weird age. Like 18 to like 20 is a weird age.
Yeah, and it feels like specific. Like it feels like I have to date someone who's like 20 or about to turn 20,
Right.
or just turned 20,
Mm-hmm.
because any younger it's
It's like a different phase of life.
yeah,
It's like if you're like a senior dating a freshman.
yeah,
It's kind of weird as far as like what your social worlds are like
yeah,
relative to like and then how that'll meet up.
yeah, especially with like 18-year-olds per se, like
Right.
current 18-year-olds, right?
Because they're just getting out of high school and we're like in our second year of college almost. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. It's weird because it's just like a mentally different like area, I feel like, because I'm not a millennial because technically I'm not, but I relate to millennials a lot more than I relate to
Like people that are
Gen Z.
Gen Z and
Yeah.
reasonably older.
Yeah. It's like I grew up with like all the things that millennials grew up, so and like I grew up around millennial and
Gen Z people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus growing up like very different dynamics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like I want to be able to relate to someone who is 18
Right. Yeah.
or even 19. I just want to like be able to relate to them. And I'm not saying that like all girls that are that age are the same exact thing.
Right. Yeah.
But like it's just hard. Like it just
Like,
makes
if you're gonna search within a sea of people, you're only going to run into like so many people that age you're gonna relate to versus closer to your age.
yeah. And then the issue is like closer to my age is like I said, not in school, so it's hard to like encounter people my age.
Right.
So and then I'm encountering a lot of older people, which I don't have issue dating someone who's older,
Right.
but they have an issue dating someone who's younger.
Right.
And even if they don't, they would like still prefer someone who's at least 21, because then they can do stuff with them.
Right.
Versus just like I'm just so it's
It's
just like a
like, yeah.
weird age where we're like stuck with like we can't do anything, but we're not really interacting with anyone else,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then you're like pretty much isolated to dating people who are pretty much exactly your age.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, because we're finding people exactly your age. So
Yeah.
we gotta like reach out online and stuff. It's like, yeah. And then some people won't even respond. And that's the thing too.
Yeah. And then there's just like the culture with like for men and stuff.
Yeah.
I recently saw some stuff and it's just like, I don't know. It might be controversial a little bit.
Oh, it's
Basic-
brings intrigue to the podcast.
But basically the current thinking for feminists and stuff is a little toxic. and
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I won't disagree there. Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, like I understand like the empowering and stuff and like
Right.
the being independent and stuff, like that's fine, I agree. But like I feel like and I saw some post about it and stuff, some articles and stuff about it, and it's just like like you guys are forcing it's forcing girls to think a certain way, and which they pretty much think guys are all like trash.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, don't get me wrong, there's some guys who are trash.
Yeah. Yeah, and totally. That's why those people in those first place are kind of compelled to think in this particular set way.
Yeah, so like, don't get me wrong, there is people like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like with current feminism, it sort of makes it seem like every guy's like that.
Right. It's like, yeah, women have maybe, if they're in that space, they're maybe over-policing people.
Yeah.
Like, and they'll probably have trouble dating people unless they're like really specifically, outwardly that thing.
Yeah.
Right. That's an interesting thing because I've heard there's a distinction between like feminism in the academic sense and feminism in the activist sense, or like even like intersectionality in like an academic sense, and then in an activist sense. And usually the academic sense is usually the one that's like a little more reeled in and like level-headed.
Yeah.
And then the activism one is the one that people see more often and that goes a little nutty.
Yeah.
And that usually influences people more.
Yeah.
So.
And then like when they get older and they want to get married and stuff, they expect a guy to be like a certain way.
Right.
Like, the feminist way of thinking and stuff, it sort of forces guys to like not grow up correctly per se.
Yeah.
Cause like, especially like women raising their sons and stuff, you raise them a certain way in which they try to be. I'm not saying like men should be aggressive and stuff,
Right.
but like you're
It's just like,
raising them in a way to be like way too docile, way too like.
yeah, it's like, you know, like nice guy to a fault point type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where, yeah, people like in lieu of being like good people who can like be assertive,
Yeah.
like they're being people who are nice who can't be assertive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you want to marry a guy who is assertive and like, but like still like respectable and stuff.
Right.
But like, feminism is forcing guys to like step down and like be more docile and stuff. Just because like if you are even slightly aggressive or even slightly dominant, you're like an issue.
Right. Yeah.
And then like also like feminism makes girls grow up like thinking that guys are rapists.
Yeah. Right. They kind of like fear mongers.
if you don't like protect yourself, or if you don't like focus, is something a guy will like take any opportunity to like have sex with you or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just like, that's just not true.
Yeah,
it's not for,
it's
every
like,
guy, but like,
yeah, I would guess that would like kind of like not be a comfortable way to live either. If you're like a woman, like if you're going around like living in fear basically,
yeah,
all the time of like of just men generally.
yeah.
So
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be cautious and stuff,
right,
but like there is such a thing as being too cautious.
right,
And I feel like feminism is pushing that like agenda to be like overly cautious, like too much, and it can, and yeah, like Like, there's nothing wrong with being independent. There's nothing wrong with fighting.
Yeah, what did we leave off on? We left off on like something creating the reverse problem in feminism and something like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so what we're saying basically is that we're incels.
Also, like, bringing that issue up, people are referring to themselves as incels,
Yeah.
even though they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I have I mean, don't get me wrong, like, some people have, like, incel, like, are actually incels.
Right.
Also, like, I've seen, like, people say that, like, that incel mentality is, like, toxic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, like, I don't know too much about that mentality or whatever. I just know for myself, it's just, like, like, it's weird. Like, I'm an average dude.
Right.
Where, like, I don't really stand out, per se.
Right.
So it's hard for me to find someone. Just because, like, usually, like, when you meet someone on the street, it's usually, you talk to them because you find them attractive.
Right.
And, like, someone out there will, like, find anyone attractive and stuff, but, like, I just haven't encountered that person.
Right.
And so, but yeah. But, like, incel, like, I feel like, yeah. Some people are just like, oh, I just don't care about that stuff.
Mhm.
It's just like, oh, you're not really an incel, you're just voluntarily.
Yeah. Yeah. You're rather than like the how like the Urban Dictionary defines an incel, you are an involuntary celibate by the dictionary definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which means you're just forced to be celibate because you can't really find anyone.
Right. That doesn't mean you're like an incel who doesn't respect women.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just somebody who doesn't have a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's basically it.
Yeah. We're running into the same problem as last time. The camera is doing its job of subdividing us into 38-minute clips. Well, except for the last one, because we're actually running out of space again because I take too many screenshots. I mean, I guess we'll wrap it up there. It was really nice talking to you, Oscar. Great to have you on the podcast. Is there anywhere you want people to like follow you on social media or something like that? Like somewhere they can find you to date you?
You can find me my is at Flopsker on Instagram. I occasionally post climbing videos there. I haven't in a while, but I promise I will eventually. When I record a clip that I think is worth posting, I will post it.
All right.
But yeah.
All right. Well, great. Insert outro here.
Alright, cool.